r/ask Reddit. What is something you got rid of years ago that you wish you kept? My old diaries. Was too scared my parents would go through my room and discover it when I was away at camp. So much regret, because it would have been so interesting to look back and read about how younger me thought and viewed life, and the things that I deemed important to me back then. I kept my old diaries, but moved around a lot on my 20s and left them at my parents' house. When the time came to clean out my stuff, I was in my mid-30s. I went through them again, thinking it would be pretty cool to revisit 14-year-old me. I cringed so hard I ended up throwing them out. My 1993 and 1994 Magic the Gathering cards. I still have all of mine. I price checked some of the good ones recently and my collection is worth a few $100 at the most. I'll give them to my nephew when he's old enough if he wants them. Hello, it's me, your nephew. I am older now. Please send some of my old Polaroids. It would be nice to look back on. I could have scanned them or something at least. Did you toss them? Why? I've definitely considered tossing out old Polaroids after a breakup. Came across them again last month. I feel meh towards them RN, but I'm still holding on to them in case maybe one day I'll look back on that relationship with sentiment. Gained weight. Threw out a bunch of too small clothes. Lost the weight again. Had to buy all the small clothes again. So afraid that I will go the other way around. I was given a $45,000 trust fund when I turned 18. My mother passed away when I was 4 and her assets were sold, with funds being divided between my siblings and I in a lockjack until we were 18. I spent it in 1 year on booze and gifts for boyfriends. Have never forgiven myself. When I was a teller in college, this kid who is about 19 comes in with a $350,000 check. So obviously I start to chat him up to make sure it wasn't some Nigerian email scam or something. Turns out his dad died and this was the life insurance. I tell him, sorry your dad died, but at least he thought to take care of you. Why don't I set you up with one of our advisors? With a start like this you'll retire very comfortably at a young age. Nope, he's buying cars for everyone he knows. Not even good cars like 5-year-old Civics. The money was gone in less than 3 months. That was about 16 years ago now. If he had invested that money he would likely be pretty close to being a millionaire now. I wonder if he ever realized that he ducked up bad. An original copy of Little Mermaid on VHS that had the penis on the castle. Did it also have the priest getting a boner? I own said movie and yes. When I was in my mid-20s I was unemployed and broke and my laptop broke, which was my only way to look for a new job, so I had to get a new one. To do so I had to sell my entire video game collection. What would now probably be a good $2,000 worth of game consoles for only $400. Not that I really cared about the monetary value of them. I just wish I still had all of them to play. I assume you lived in America at the time. Did you know libraries provide computers with internet access? Not as convenient as a home computer, but you could have kept your collection. My childhood Woody and Buzz Lightyear figures. They were almost exactly like how they were in the movie and everything. Except obviously, they didn't come to life. LOL. I've never been able to find any just like them again. I got rid of them many years ago and I super regret it to this day. My friends from high school. I bet they're just hiding on Facebook. I've been repurchasing a lot of old 2E D&D books. My collection would be much better if I hadn't partied with so many when I was younger. When I moved out of the house I grew up in, I made the mistake of leaving my D&D collection stored in the basement there. I started playing in 1983 and had some first edition printing copies of stuff from the 70s, among a vast array of classic modules, books, dragon magazines, dungeon magazines, and accessories. I also had the complete, original Dragonlance modules, still in plastic, just stacks of books. At some point, my brother bought the old home and renovated, throwing all of my stuff into the dumpster, never to be seen again. I have no idea what all that first printing stuff would have been worth nowadays, but I feel a hitch in my chest every time I remember it. My N64. Got it for Christmas in '96. Gave it to family, friends, kids who will most likely never appreciate it for how great it truly was. I sold mine to buy the GameCube when it came out. but the lady who bought it from me with a second controller and some games paid me with fake money. I was so young at the time and I didn't notice it was fake notes. They were pretty well done. I'm so sad every time I think about it. I have an old Motorola mobile phone that I must have thrown out the charger etc. for ages ago. It has a video of my younger brother throwing the funniest temper tantrum while trying to put his already tied shoes on and refusing to stop and untie the laces first. I swear one day I will embarrass the hell out of him with the video, and for that reason, I still have the phone at home just in case one day I manage to boot it up again. One day. My old Minecraft worlds. Same. I really wish I kept the very first world I created. I didn't have any cash at the time, so I pirated a copy until I could buy a copy. When I got the game a couple weeks later, birthday present from a friend, I deleted all my worlds and started new. Everything I owned before my divorce. My ex pleaded with me to let him keep the household items so when his kids visited on the weekends his house wouldn't be bare. I agreed on the terms. He would get his own stuff soon and I would get my stuff back. Within months he married Satan. Anything that would have meant something to me she put out in their garage and sold or threw away. He divorced her, but they stay married for 6 years and she ruined everyone's life. When I got divorced, my main concern was getting out as quickly as I could for safety reasons. So when I first moved out, I loaded everything I couldn't live without into my car. Like my pets, my clothes, important documents, favorite books, and irreplaceable mementos. Everything else didn't really matter to me at that point. After discussing it with my ex, he gave me one day to come in and pick up some of my stuff. And he fought me on everything. DVDs, furniture, kitchenware, you name it. I left with less than half of what I owned. I know in the long run it doesn't matter because I made it out with my pets and we're all safe now. But it's so frustrating to repurchase things that I already own. I had a binder nearly full of all the Charizard cards I traded for / bought opened as a kid. I would normally offer kids a ton of cards for one Charizard, and now I realize I likely threw away so much money. I did it in middle school because I wanted to be cool and figured I shouldn't have them anymore. I sold a sword to some Satan worshippers for $50. It was a neat sword that I got on a family vacation. I was a teenager and needed money for things. These strange kids needed something to sacrifice chickens with, I think. I thought it was a good deal at the time, but I've regretted that for many years. My mom bought me Thriller on picture disc vinyl and I made her take it back and get me the tape so I could listen to it in my Walkman because I was a stupid duck-eyed 10-year-old kid, damn it. Love letters from my ex-husband. Not because I'm still in love with him, but because I think my daughter would enjoy reading them. He was military, so we were separate a lot, so I had tons of letters and cards between us over the years. When I cleaned out my man shed as man, holy duck the amount of spare parts I threw out. Any hoarding man will say the same. They threw out so many parts, or things that could have been modified to parts. My large stack of weekly world news, bought them one by one when I was a youngin'. Loved when Dear Dottie called everyone pinhead and Ed Anger whined about bleeding heart liberals in their columns. My stack was almost as tall as I was. They recycled a lot of their crazy stories. Would love to go through them now. A house in the city of Chicago, in a plain working class neighborhood. On Zillow I see prices around it in the 3-4 million range. SMDH. I think my granddad paid something like $5,000 for it in the 1930s. Any voicemail of my parents. Fireball Island. That game is worth a ton now. They even did a Kickstarter remake, but it's not the same. This one shoebox full of Hot Wheels. Many of them were old as shit and I seriously don't know how they got into my hands. I now know that many people collect said old cars. When I was in the 5th grade, my mom started to raise a huge stink about the state of my bedroom. As a kid, through a combination of generous aunts and uncles, good grades, and plain old begging, I'd amassed a collection of stuff. SNES and Genesis games. Yes, my SNES and Genesis ran fine. Batman, the animated series, X-Men, and Spider-Man, the animator series action figures, Lego sets, Micro Machines, Mighty Max playsets, G.I. Joes, gaming magazines, and posters. She wanted me to get rid of all that stuff because I was in the 5th grade now and should be more grown up. I actively resisted, and then I made the mistake of going out of town. I went on an out of town camping trip with some cousins for a weekend. I came back, and my room was basically empty. Just clothes and books and bare walls and empty shelves. Mum said she had my room cleaned, and to this day, I'm 31 now, I still harbor a deep resentment over that. My Bitcoin. As a kid, me and my brother heard about Bitcoin and how you can mine Bitcoin and make it into real life money. We mined a couple coins, but since we were kids and suddenly realized we would have to do it for hours to get anything of value, we stopped. Somewhere out there is a Bitcoin wallet with about 15 Bitcoin, and honestly that would help solve every problem in my life right now. All my old drawings from when I was younger. Sucks I can't see how I've improved over the years. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.